So you can see presentation, right. Yeah, okay, so I think it's fair to say that insurance is normally the last thought when you're setting up a business, and I just wanted to give you some things to think about as you grow and become successful. So why do you need insurance? Legal requirements, there are certain covers that you have to put in place. Contractual requirements, and this is where we find clients normally start to think about insurance. It's because somebody's asked them to hold certain covers under contract. And of course, the cost of transferring the burden of costs that you can't afford. You need to ask yourself, without insurance, can you afford to replace the items that have been damaged? Can you afford to pay the legal costs if somebody makes an allegation against you? No one likes paying their insurance premiums. It's a necessary evil. But when things go wrong, you start to realise how important it is, and take it from somebody who knows. So this is a residential street in a little place called Shaw up near Oldham, and I owned a buy-to-let property on this street. This is the same street in June 2012. There was a gas explosion which wiped out the street and the surrounding areas, and I cost my insurance company £85,000. The only cost to me was the £100 excess. It was money well spent. So the cover that you have to put in place: employer's liability, required by law should the company have employees, even if it's just clerical employees. Pays and defends claims against you for any personal injury that employee suffers whilst they're working in the business. The other cover that's mandatory is motor, where you have company vehicles, but other things to think about is if an employee is using their own personal motor for your business, they may not have the right cover under their own personal motor insurance unless they paid extra. And there is an onus on you to check that, otherwise you could open yourself up to some liability there if you don't. So other things to think about and key areas as cover as you grow. Directors and officers liability, also known as management liability, really key, particularly if you've got outside investors, funding. Your own personal assets are at risk here. It's your house, your car, the cash in the bank, and a director's liability is unlimited. Claims can come from anywhere. It could be competitors, regulatory and trade bodies like the ICO, health and safety executive, and this type of policy will provide some financial protection as a result of an allegation of a wrongful act against you. It will cover damages, judgments and settlements, as well as defence costs. Key person is an interesting cover that we're seeing more and more under contract, actually, specifically if your business is reliant on one or two key people. What if something was to happen to them? This type of cover can help in the event of death or serious illness. It's something to think about. Professional indemnity is probably the most important cover to consider for companies working in the video games industry. Again, it's a legal liability policy. It's providing financial loss cover, and as a result of any errors or acts or omissions that you might make during the course of your services. So things like disputes in specification versus the delivered product or service. Breach of contract, a big part of what we do is checking insurance clauses under contract. Unintentional breach of intellectual property. Cyber and privacy. Defamation, libel and slander, content liability, project delays, losses caused by a player replicating elements of the game and causing injury. You know, we have clients who are really, really worried about little Johnny in the USA who's been playing a game for a week straight and then goes out and replicates something in his school. Again, that's something that can be picked up under professional indemnity. Another really important area to think about is your active freelancers and subcontractors who are used a lot in your industry. Again, you need to make sure that's picked up under professional indemnity insurance. And of course, reputation and brand protection. It takes a long, long time to build a reputation. It doesn't take that long to destroy it. Professional indemnity can help with that. I've put cyber on there Again, there is some overlap with professional indemnity insurance. But cyber insurance consists of two parts. So you've got third-party liability. So that's essentially claims that may come in from your customers if you lose their data. And then there's first-party covers, which are your own covers. So the cost of getting in forensic IT to respond to a cyber incident, notification costs, because of course now you're obligated to tell your clients and customers if you have a data breach. System damage, any resulting loss of revenue is picked up under that. Regulatory fines, which we're seeing more and more of, and of course threats and extortion as well. Really, really key covers. Those four, I think, are probably the most important ones. And then, of course, public and products liability, similar to employers' liability. This is legal liability cover. It's all around the injury you might cause to a third party or any property damage. Property and assets, we tend to find that companies working in the video games industry have expensive items of equipment and kit, either at the premises or away from the premises. And again, it goes back to, if you don't have insurance in place and there was a fire and you lost everything, can you afford to replace all your equipment without insurance? Business interruption goes hand in hand with property and assets insurance and essentially covers loss of revenue as a result of a loss under the property and assets section. It won't cover, generally, it's a traditional cover, it won't cover losses from a cyber attack. That would have to be under the cyber policy. Intellectual property, key cover. Again, there is an element of cover generally found under professional indemnity insurance. If you unintentionally breach somebody's intellectual property, professional indemnity will never cover patents. And of course, professional indemnity is about defence. So if you have a problem, it's going to defend your position. Intellectual property insurance, full policy, goes a step further. You can extend it to include pursuit cover. So it's all about the protection of your own intellectual property. You know, if you've spent a lot of time developing your game, you've paid to trademark certain elements, how do you protect that? Is there enough cash in the bank if somebody infringes your intellectual property to stop them? Again, the insurance policy can provide that. Credit insurance, this is essentially insuring bad debts. So if you're extending a line of credit out to your clients and they fail to fulfill those obligations and you're left with the debt, again, that can be insured. So they're all things to think about there, but whatever cover you put in place, it needs to be flexible and it needs to grow as you do. It also needs to be cost effective. You don't want to be spending your hard-earned funding or grants on insurance premiums. So start with low limits, build up as you go. It's better to have some protection that might cover some defence costs than have no protection at all. Claims, we do see them. Claims under professional indemnity and directors and officers tend to be complicated. They tend to be big. You know, contract disputes, for instance, if you're developing a game for a third party, milestones and timescales slip, perhaps the game doesn't get released on time, perhaps it doesn't get released at all. Suddenly you've got an unhappy customer who wants some money from you, and the policy will pay any cost to defend and any settlements. And of course, the global nature of the industry that you're in the USA, it costs way more to defend a claim than it would here in the UK. I think my largest claim is about $250,000. I know claims that are way in excess of that. Threats and extortion, again, is on the increase. You're actually more likely now to have a cyber loss than a fire, but yet people are more likely to insure their buildings and their contents than they are to insure cyber. Again, companies in your industry rely heavily on technology, so you become a prime candidate for cyber criminals. Threats and extortion under a cyber policy, if there is a ransom demand, your insurers will pay that ransom demand. That's often against the advice of the police, but of course, if an insurance company is picking up any loss of revenue as a result of the cyber attack, they're going to want to get your systems back up and running as quickly as possible. Our largest claim is $1 million for threats and extortion. That wasn't the size of the claim, that was just the limit under the policy. So again, we're seeing more and more of those types of claims. The old phishing risk, more and more sophisticated these days, not quite as many spelling mistakes in the ones we've seen recently. And the thing about these claims is they're really, really personal. The person who clicks on the link has to live with that. At least having an insurance policy that covers it gives them some peace of mind. The money's there, they can get it back. Employment disputes, stress, big factor in the video games industry. We also seen claims for redundancy, unfair dismissal, passed over promotion, harassment. COVID-19's obviously had quite a large impact. We've seen a lot of redundancies, not necessarily not in your sector, thankfully, but again, we're seeing increased claims around that. Travel claims, again, the global nature of the video games industry means that we see quite a lot of travel claims. Again, going back to COVID-19, all the big trade shows and the fairs were cancelled earlier in the year. We saw a significant amount of cancellation claims. And breach of intellectual property, again, really complicated claims, really, really interesting. But even a spurious allegation can cost a significant amount to get rid of them. So just a few hints and tips from me. Always use an insurance broker. I'm bound to say that, aren't I? But things to think about. Your insurance broker works for you and not your insurer, which is really, really important when it comes to claims. You want somebody who's fighting in your corner. A direct insurer can only ever offer their own products, whereas a broker can access lots of different insurers, lots of different products. Drop-down boxes, oh, nightmare. Trying to make what you do fit into a one-line drop-down box. You don't want to be having an argument when a claim comes in with an insurer that they didn't know what you were doing. Policy wordings tend to be 50 to 200 pages long. It's full of jargon. At least an insurance broker can help you decipher that. I've put in there a condition of average, which applies under all property and assets sections, and that includes actually household insurance as well. And it's where we see some people fall foul of. So essentially the condition of average is set by insurers. It's in the policy wording to stop you setting your sums insured too low. So for instance, if you have a fire and you come to claim for £100,000 worth of computer equipment, but you're only insured £50,000, insurers will say you're 50% underinsured, and therefore they're only going to pay you 50% of the original sum insured, the 50,000, so you only end up with 25, which is a massive gap between what you actually need to replace your computer equipment at 100,000. So when you're setting your sums insured under property and assets, always be on the top side. If you're running a business from home, tell your household insurers. You don't want to invalidate your household policy. Personal travel versus business travel. I hate personal travel policies. Generally what happens is if you have an issue, you go to the doctors, you tell your personal travel insurers about it, they will increase your premium and exclude whatever the issue is. Business travel, if you're a limited company, business travel policies will give cover business trips. They'll also cover personal trips with directors plus their accompanying partners and children. And unlike personal travel, they don't ask those questions about medical conditions. You're not allowed to ask your employees those questions. So actually, all it says under a business travel policy is don't travel against doctor's advice. Otherwise, that's it. It's a much nicer way of covering travel insurance if you're making several trips a year. The other tip, territorial and jurisdiction limits. The nature of the video games industry is global. Make sure that the insurance policy that you have responds in the territory that you operate in. We see policies that are restricted to UK or EU, when in actual fact you may have players and customers out in the USA. So that's really a quick whiz through. I mean, insurance is a massive topic and I could talk for hours, but please do feel free to get in contact with me. I'm more than happy to undertake a free review of any existing insurance policies, happy to give help and advice if you're starting to think about starting a business. We're going to send over the slides. I've also got an insurance guide that we can circulate as well. Yeah, just give me a call or email me with any questions or queries, and I'll be at the networking afterwards.